How you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Yud Aleph, Daf 11 of Masechta Kiddushin. Friends. Wow. We just got out of like a 2-hour meeting. A lot of yelling and screaming, you know. Alright. Where are we? Kesef, Hashem. Oh. Alright. Gufa. Alright. Well, today we're going to, if you remember way back 10 days ago to the Mishnah, so Hillel said, Bepruta v'shava pruta, Beis Shammai said, Bedinar v'shava dinar. I think? Yeah. Right. Okay, wait, what? Beis Shammai bedinar v'shava dinar, Beis Hillel bepruta v'shava pruta. Exactly, b'diuk. So we're going to kind of talk a little bit about that today. Okay, here we go. Daf Yud Aleph Amud Aleph, at the 2 dots, I don't know, about kind of maybe like 40% down the daf, let's say. Let's say, should we count? Alright, fine, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 9 out of 24. Ooh, that's going to be hard math. Well, if we make it 25, that makes it easier. So, oh yeah, I was about right. 25, so if we say instead of 24 lines, it's 25 lines, that'll make it easier. So then you could divide that by 5, that's 5. So 20% would be 5, 40% would be 10. That's perfect. Dude, I nailed that. Dude, friends, do you realize how much I nailed that? If it were 25, so then 40% of 25 would be 10, but it's not 25, it's 24, which means that 40% is slightly less than 10. We're starting on the 9th line. 40%. Wow. Okay. Friends, we're going to start at the 2 dots, 40% down, Yud Aleph Amud Aleph. Okay. 40%. Bekesef, Beshamiyom, Bedinar, V'chulei. Wow, sorry for yelling. I was just been yelling and screaming for the last like 2.5 hours. So I can yell and scream for another half an hour. I wasn't yelling and screaming in a bad way, in a passionate way. Kind of like at Babylon Talmud. Chevre, I'm a passionate fellow. When I want to be. Or in certain contexts, I'm a passionate fellow. Like in Babylon Talmud. I'm a passionate fellow. So when it comes to kesef, so Beis Shammai says that we're talking about, a dinar, right? So you have Makadesh, a fellow is Makadesh, a fellow with a dinar. Okay, fine. My time I did Beis Shammai. How come Beis Shammai says it's a dinar? Omer Reb Zera says Reb Zera sheken isha makpedes al atzmo ve'en miskadeshes bepachus midinar. So Reb Zera explains Beis Shammai that we're talking about a dinar because a fella will not accept to be acquired for less than a dinar. Omer le Abai, but Abai says to Reb Zera, elameato. What about the daughters of Rabbi Yanai? The kapton on Avshayu, that they were very makpid on themselves. They would not accept to be acquired for any less than 3 kavs of dinars. Not just 1 dinar, but 3 kavs worth of dinars. So achinami the pashto yoda v'kibla chad zuza me'achar achinami dulav v'kiddushin. So what? If they're makpidos on 3 kavs of dinars. So if they would say, you know what, I'll accept 1 dinar, right? A zuz and a dinar are the same, is my understanding. So if they would simply accept 1 dinar, that would not work, since they want 3 kavs worth of dinars. So Omer Lei, so Reb Zera responds to Abai, Poshto yoda v'kiblu lo ka'amina. Look, I'm not talking about a situation if she accepted 1 dinar, right? If you have these daughters of Rabbi Yanai who in general would like to receive 3 kavs of dinars, but for whatever reason they accepted Kesef Kiddushin 1 dinar, okay, so if they accepted it, they accepted it. Ki kamina, the kach belelia, I'm talking about what if she accepted the kesef kiddushin at night when she couldn't see what she was receiving. Or if she sent a messenger to accept her kesef kiddushin but didn't tell the messenger how much. How much the messenger should accept. So in those cases where if she's assuming that she'd be receiving 3 kavs worth of dinars, but it was at night and she couldn't see, or if she sent a messenger but the messenger didn't realize that they're expecting 3 kavs of dinars and instead accepted 1 dinar. So in these cases the kiddushin would not work because her expectation was 3 kavs of dinars. But if she accepted 1 dinar, she accepted 1 dinar. Fine. That is Reb Zera's explanation. Rav Yosef Amar says, Rav Yosef, Taimayu de Bes Shammai, Kid Rav Yehuda Rav Asi. Oh. So it says Rav Yosef that the reason for Beis Shammai saying a dinar is like Rav Yehuda Rav Asi. Rav Yehuda Rav Asi called Kesef, for Omer Batorah Kesef Tsuri, Vishal Devrem Kesef Medina. That says Rav Yehuda Rav Asi that whenever the Torah says Kesef, for example, it says, right, Ki kach ish isha, it says, Kicha, right, Nasati, Kesef, Asole kach mimeni. Of course, we know, Kicha miste Efron. And so it says, Kesef by Efron, so be'etzim it says, Kesef by Kiddushin. And whenever it says Kesef in the Torah, Kesef, Tsuri, it's talking about Tsuri, Kesef. And, okay, Vishal Devrem, Kesef Medina. And if we're talking about Derabanan Kesef, so it's Kesef Medina, which is 1/8 the amount of Kesef Tsuri. And so if we're talking about, so if it says by Kiddushin, Kesef, and it says of Yudam Ravasi that Kesef always means Kesef Tsuri, and Kesef Tsuri is silver. Prutas are copper. So we're not talking about prutas which are copper, we're talking about Kesef which is silver, and we're talking about a dinar. Okay? A dinar of silver. Okay? Fine. Gufa Amar Yudam Ravasi, Ko Kesef Amar Batorah Kesef Tsuri, Vishal Devem Kesef Medina. Oh, so we said, Rav Yehuda said the name of Ravasi that whenever it says Kesef in the Torah, it's talking about Kesef Tsuri. Whenever it's Midar Rabbanan, it's Kesef Medina. Be Seder. Kapish? Kapish? I don't know. Kapish, not Kapish. Whatever it is, this is what we're talking about. This is today. Sorry, I'm all over the place. I don't know if I mentioned it. I just got out of a 2.5 hour meeting. My brain's a little bit all over the place. I'm a little bit all over the place. I don't know if you noticed. I'm a little bit all over the place. But as we know from Babylon Talmud, doesn't matter where your brain is. We have to learn the daf. Brains, no brains. We got to learn the daf. Says the Mishnah. Nisht. Says the Gemara. Uchlalu. Is this like a general rule? Like, is that like a thing? Like that's that whenever it says in the Torah Kesef, it means Kesef Medina, it's literal. Kesef Tsuri, it's literal. That's what it means, Kesef. But let me ask you a kasha. Very Taina. Who can tell me what Taina is? What's Taina? Who can tell me what Taina is? Modib Miksa Satani Yishava. Right? Of course, this has come up before, right? That Shimon says to Reuven, "Hey Shimon, you owe me $100." Shimon says to Reuven, Reuven, you owe me $1,000. Reuven says, what are you talking about? You lent me $500. So Reuven has to swear that he's telling the truth. So very taina, when it comes that Shimon makes a taina against Reuven that he's owed money. So if Shimon gives to Reuven kesef or vessels to guard, okay, utnan shvos adayonim, that when it comes to modib miksa satani yishava, when it comes to shvos adayonim, when we make Reuven swear when he says that he borrowed less than Shimon is claiming that he borrowed, that vitnan shvos adayonim ataina, when it comes to modib miksas shtei kesef v'auda shove pruta. That if, so Rashi quotes machlokas between, what was it, Rav and Shmuel? Yeah, Rashi quotes machlokas between Rav and Shmuel. Let's just choose one of them, whichever one I find easier. So which is that Shimon says to Reuven that, hey Reuven, I lent you 2 kesefs, shtei kesef, 2 kesefs. V'auda shove pruta, and Reuven says, what do you mean? You only lent me a pruta. Or, no, you lent me 2 kesefs minus a pruta, whatever it is. So, noob, what's the point? The point is that the pasuk says ki yiten ish hareu kesef. Kesef is singular, and yet it says that shvuos hadayot natan shtei kesef. That actually, when it comes to modeh b'mikzas, we're talking about 2 kesef, but the pasuk only says 1 kesef. So how could it be that, like, we always take kesef literal, that it doesn't just refer to money in general, but it literally means kesef. It has to be silver. It has to be kesef tzuri. But if kesef is kesef, then where did we get this concept of shtei kesef from? If it's taken literally, it should be talking about kesef achas. So hasam to me the kalim. Well, that's because the reason why it's 2 kesefs is because the pasuk says ki yiten ish hareu kesef o kalim, so kesef or kalim. So ma kalim shnayim av kesef shnayim. Just like kalim is plural, so also kesef is plural, right? Kalim, right? Kalim is a plural word. What do you want me to tell you? So kesef also, we're talking about 2 kesefs. That's why. But we could still say that kesef in general would mean literally kesef tzuri. Uma kesef davar chashuv, av kelim davar chashuv. And then similarly, just like kesef is something of significant value, so also vessels that we're talking about are vessels of significant value, not like if you lent him a needle, 2 needles, and he says, "What do you only lend me 1 needle?" You wouldn't swear on that. It has to be something of significance. Very meiser. What about meiser sheni, right? Dichsiv vitzarta kesef biyodcha, right? Of course, we know by meiser sheni, right? You separate truma, then you separate meiser, then you separate meiser sheni. If it's years 1, 2, 4, and 5. So then you eat that meiser sheni in Jerusalem, or you could transfer the value onto money and bring the money to Jerusalem. So, and it says v'tzarta kesef biyodcha, that you will bring the kesef in your hand to Jerusalem. So v'tnana poret sela mimos meiser sheni. But one second, we have a Mishnah that says that if you have a sela and you want to get change for a sela, right? You want to get change for a seller, so you can use mos meiser sheni. That if you were poda your meiser sheni, if you transfer the value of your meiser sheni onto prutas, and now you want to get change for a seller, you can use prutas of meiser sheni to get change for your seller. But how could it be that you're using prutas for meiser sheni? It says v'tzarta kesef biyodcha. I thought we're saying that kesef means literal kesef tzuri, no prutas. So kesef. Ha-kesef riba. Yeah, but the pasuk says v'tzarta ha-kesef biyodcha. Could have said v'tzarta kesef biyodcha. What's ha-kesef? Ha-kesef is it's coming to include even prutas. So we have some exeris hakosov that, right, that comes to teach us that no, it's not literally kesef. In this case, it even includes prutas. Varei hekdish. But what about hekdish, consecrated property? Dichsiv v'nosan ha-kesef v'kamlo. It says, right, if I'm makdish my field, now my field belongs to the Beis HaMikdash, and now I redeem it with kesef. So once I redeem it with kesef, so now it's no longer hektish. So if it says kesef, I would think it's literally kesef. Ve'omer Shmuel, yet Shmuel says hektish shaveh mana. If you have hektish, you're makdish something and it's worth 1 mana, shechillo al shavei pruta. And even though the hektish is worth a mana, if you were mechalel the hektish onto just a pruta, way less than what it's worth, just a pruta, mechulo, the hektish is no longer hektish. But how can it be though? I don't understand. Aside from the question of how could it be that something worth a mana you're being mechal on simply a pruta, which is like the smallest denomination. But nonetheless, that aside, how can you be using a pruta for hektish? It says v'nosana kesef v'kamlo. So asamnami kesef yolef meiser. Dar in oichit, we learn out that just like it says kesef by hektish, in oichit says kesef by meiser sheni, and since we said by kesef ha-kesef by meiser sheni to say that you can use even prutas, so oichit by hektish you can use prutas. Okay, fine. Where am I? Sometimes kesef yolef meiser. Fine. V'arei kiddushay isha. What about kesef kiddushin? Friends, what about kesef kiddushin? Dichsib ki yikach ish isha v'ala. Right, it says ki yikach ish isha, as we've seen before several times. V'gomer kicha misteyefrin. We learn at the Gzeir Shava of kicha misteyefrin. V'tnan Beis Hillel omrim befruta or b'shvei pruta. And the Mishnah says that according to Beis Hillel, you can use a pruta for kesef kiddushin, even though through the Gzeir Shava we learn out that kiddushin needs to be kesef. But if it needs to be kesef, and we're saying that that's literal, and Beis Hillel is saying, nah, you can use a pruta, So Neimer Rav Asi, Damar Beis Shammai, does that mean that Rav Asi, who says that kesef is literal, holds like Beis Shammai, who says that there needs to be a dinar? Because after all, Beis Hillel says it could just be a pruta. But if we're saying kesef is literal, you can't use a pruta. You'd have to use a dinar. So Rav Asi holds like Beis Shammai? Okay, so friends, that seems to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Ella, itmar. Rather, okay, fine. Rav Yehuda, Rav Asi's statement doesn't seem to hold up to scrutiny. Rather, Rav Yehuda, Rav Asi, kol kesef kotzuv ha'amr b'Torah kesef tzuri. That whenever you have a specified amount in the Torah, if it tells you how much kesef, then we're talking about kesef tzuri. V'shal devreim, and if it's midra abonon, so then kesef medina, we're talking about kesef medina, which is 1/8 of that amount. My kamash malon. Tanina, but why do I need Rav Yehuda Rav Asi to teach me that? I have a Mishnah already that says that Chomesh Shloim Shel Ben. That when it comes to the 5 sellas for Pidyon Aben, Shloshim Shel Eved. That if somebody kills an Eved, so then you have to pay a flat rate of 30 shekels to the master. Chamishim shel onis v'shel mefate. If a fellow is me'anis or mefate, a besula, so he has to pay 50 shekels to the father. Mea shel motzi shemra, or the 100 shekel fine of motzi shemra. Kulam b'shekel hakodesh b'mana. So all of that is talking about tsuri. It's talking about tsuri money. So Rav Yehuda Rav Asi says that whenever it says kesef in the Torah means kesef tzuri, yeah, we have a Mishnah that already said, we said whenever it says a specific amount of kesef means kesef tzuri. We have a Mishnah that already says that. The 5 sellas of Pidyon Aben, the 30 shekels for an Eved, etc. That's talking about kesef tzuri. So v'shal devreim kesef medina, it's three chalei dilotnan. Well, the chiddush of Rav Yehuda Rav Asi is not for the deoraisis, it's for the derabonans. That by derabonon amounts, it's talking about kesef medina. The Tanya is we learn in the brayso hatokela chavero, that if a fellow, there's 2 options that Rashi gives: either blows a horn into his friend's ear and damages him, or hits him in the ear epis. Nosin lo sela, so he has to give him a sela, and this is a din derabonon. He has to give him a sela. V'lotema my sela arba zuze. Don't say that a sela is 4 zuz, is 4 dinars, 4 zuz, which would be a sela tzuri. Elamai sela palga de zuzah. It's half of a zuz, an eighth of that amount, which is sela medina. Davide inchi dikaro the falga zuzah. The zuzah istira that the people call half a zuz in istira, which I guess is what you need to pay in this amount, which is the sela medina. Okay, there you go. So by derabonans, you have to pay the sela medina, and that is what Rav Yehuda Rav Asi was teaching us. Reb Shimon ben Lakish hat gesagt, Tamar de Beis Shammai Kidei Chizkiya, that the reason for it, so he gives a different answer, right? So Rav Yosef had said that we'd have actually seen a bunch of reasons for Beis Shammai. Reb Zera had said because she's going to be makpedes, that she only wants a dinar. Rav Yosef had mentioned this thing about Rav Yehuda Rav Asi, about the kesef tzuri, to which we ended up, I don't know, I guess having a hard time with that a little bit, maybe. But now we have Rish Lakish, Reb Shimon ben Lakish, Tamar de Beis Shammai Kidei Chizkiya, that the reason for Beis Shammai is like Chizkiya, based on halachis by an Amo Ivriya / a Eved Ivri. So it says, Damar Chizkiya Amar Kra v'hefda, that an Eved Ivri or an Amo Ivriya, they're able to buy themselves back at any time, right? So an Eved Ivri or an Amo Ivriya is an Eved for 6 years, and say they were purchased for $600, let's say. So each year is $100, and if 3 years in they say, you know what, I had enough, I want to buy myself back, so buy yourself back for $300. So they have that they subtract the amount that she's already worked, and then she goes free, right? So if she was purchased for $600, So if she's worked for 3 years, $100 per year, she's already worked off 300 of it, she can buy herself back for 300. So this makes sense if we're talking about that an Amma Ivriya is purchased for a dinar. A dinar, as we're going to learn tomorrow, I believe is 192 prutas, right? Because 1 dinar, this is going to be relevant tomorrow. 1 dinar, I believe, is 24 somethings. 1 dinar is 24 somethings. What are those 24 things? I don't remember. Isars? Oh yeah, probably Isars. I think 1 dinar, is 24 Isars. 1 Isar is 8 prutas. So what's 8 times 24? Well, 8 times 2, that would be 160. 8 times 4 is 24. That's 184? No. 8 times 4 is 32. Exactly. So 160 plus 32 is 192. Yeah, exactly. 192. That's exactly right. 192, right? 8 times 20 would be 160. 8 times 4 is 32. 160, 32 is 180, 192. I think that's right. So 1 dinar is 192 prutas. That's a lot of prutas. So dinar. So that makes sense if an Amma Ivriya is purchased for 1 dinar. Ad pruta. Okay, so you can just keep on subtracting until you get to that final pruta when calculating how much she's already worth. So but if you're only purchasing her for a pruta, so mi pruta mi megara, you can't go any. How are you gonna divide up a pruta into further components? It doesn't get smaller than a pruta. So v'dilma hachi kamer achmana, but maybe that's not such a good proof, because maybe what the pasuk is saying, look, hey chadu la dinar, look, if he paid a dinar for her, so then tigara ad pruta, so then subtract from that. But hey chadu la pruta, but if you only bought her for a pruta, which can't be broken down further, well then lo tigara klal, then you can't break it down any further. She'll have to pay a pruta. So maybe that's what it's saying. So maybe it's not a proof that since you have to subtract from the payment amount, it must be that it was a medina. That it was a dinar. Meaning we want to say that, right, it must be it's a dinar, so you can subtract. But maybe that's not the case. Maybe, look, if you paid a dinar, so then you subtract. If you only paid a pruta, which is not subtractable, so then you wouldn't subtract. Lo sakadai, no, that can't be. Dumya di yud, it's like yud. My yud, who could tell me what yud is? Yud is that when a fellow purchases an Amma Ivriya, he has the option to marry her. And that's what, that marriage is called yud. So my yud, afagav, when it comes to Yud, look, the master has the choice. He could be miyayid or he cannot be miyayid, or he can marry her or not. But kol heichad lo motzi miyayid lo hava zabina zabini. But that still must be possible, right? It reminds me of the concept of what was it? Kol sheyeshno bebila ein bila me'akeves bo v'chol she kol de'isa bila me'akeves bo v'chol de'leisa bebila ein bila me'akeves. Oops. Kol sheyeshno, I think that's it. Kol sheyeshno bebila ein bila me'akeves bo, v'chol she eino bebila me'akeves. Oops. Anyways, but you have to be able to do yud, right? Meaning, so the master has the option to marry her or not. He doesn't have to marry her, but he has to have the option to marry her. For example, a fellow cannot purchase his sister as an Amma, like one of the Arayas as an Amma Ivriya, because he can't possibly do yud with her. In order to be an Amma Ivriya, it has to be somebody that you have the potential to do yud. So Achanami here as well. That's it. But that's what it is. Should I? I'm not even going to explain what that is. Why did I even mention it? Look it up, people. Wherever you're unable, so you're also, right, if you only purchase her for a pruta, which is cannot be divided up further, so then the sale doesn't work. Now, Kiddushin, where am I? Fine. Okay. Whew. Okay, so therefore, by Nama Ivriya, the halacha is that if she wants to buy herself back, so you just subtract how much she's worked from how much was paid. And what we're saying is that has to be possible, right? You can't buy an Amma Ivriya for one pruta because one pruta won't be able to be subtracted, right? So that's not possible. It has to be a denomination that is possible to be subtracted. The Kiddusha Isha the Beshami Nafkalu me Amma Ivriya. And Beis Shammai learns out Kiddusha Isha from Amma Ivriya, Ma Amma Ivriya bepruta lo mikanya, Avisha bepruta lo mikacha. Just like an Amma Ivriya cannot be purchased for a pruta, so also a kinyan by Kiddushin cannot be a pruta. Ve'ema palga the dinar. Okay, but still, if it's not a pruta, why does it have to be a dinar? Let's say half a dinar. That would be what's 192 divided by 2? Well, let's do this. 200 divided by 2 is 196. Yeah, 96. 96. Yeah, 96. Yeah, 96. 96. 90 times 2 is 180. 6 times 2 is 192. Why not? What's wrong with 96? Maybe a palga the dinar. Why don't we say half a dinar? Why does it have to be 192 dinars? Prutas. Ve'emishtei prutas. So maybe I'll just simply say 2 prutas. Came that fikte be pruta ukma dinar. Look, once already you're not using the pruta, just go for the gold, go for the dinar, and make it something choshev. Rava Amar Ainu Tami the Beis Shammai shall you b'nos Yisrael behev kefker. And Rava says, look, this is why Beis Shammai says that Kiddushin has to be by a dinar, because we don't want to communicate that a Bas Yisrael is worth a pruta. A Bas Yisrael is worth at least a dinar. Alright? Fine. Very good. Okay. What do you want me to tell you? That was Daf Yud Aleph of Masechta Kiddushin. I hope you enjoyed. What did we talk about? We talked about Be'etzem, the opinion of Beis Shammai, and why does Beis Shammai say there has to be a dinar? So the opinion of Reb Zeru says, well, because B'nos Yisrael won't accept less than a dinar. Yosef wanted to say it had to do with, well, kesef. Whenever it says kesef in the Torah, it means kesef tzuri, which there's no, prutas are not kesef, they're nechoshes. So the opinion of Rish Lakish, who compares, who says that Beis Shammai learns from Amma Ivriya, and by Amma Ivriya it has to be a dinar. And also then we saw the opinion of Rava that we don't want to communicate that B'nos Yisrael are hefker. Friends, that was Daf Yud Aleph of Masechta Kiddushin. Hope you enjoy. Peace out.